So my first big company was Social Engine, and I say big, but we really only grew to about 11. But I started that company in 2007 with my co-founder Alex, and when we started it, we had nothing. I mean, I was in college and I was just tinkering around, and Alex was the one that came up with the idea and had sort of this vision for it. And so we built out the software and we launched the site, and almost immediately we started getting people buying the product. I think we were selling it for something like $300 a license, but somehow we had hit upon a really interesting piece of software that everybody needed, an interesting market. And so, you know, we didn't have any costs, we didn't have an office, we didn't have to pay for our own computers. That was a huge piece of why we were able to bootstrap Social Engine. But in the end, we got to profitability fairly quickly. I mean, it turns out it was a really great plan, and we marketed it well, and it grew pretty rapidly. And over the next 4 years, we grew it to about $1.5 million in revenue, with a substantial profit margin off of that. And you know, that was, in my opinion, a fairly successful business considering that it was totally bootstrapped. I left Social Engine at the end of last year, in part due to, you know, sort of needing to sort of set out on my own, I think. And you know, one of the things that I loved about Social Engine was that we helped people create like communities, essentially. They were basically taking an idea that they had. They wanted to connect, you know, all of the people that love this classic car or something like that, and then they would build a community out of it, and people would contribute and post photos, and it was incredible to see those communities grow organically. What I'm doing now, after a few months of contract work, I got hooked up with a friend who said that he had this idea for this, you know, this basically fashion tech company, and I've very little experience in the fashion industry, but I loved the idea. And essentially what the Cotery is that it's a platform for clothing designers to design a garment, a cut and sew garment, publish it for crowdfunding, and then if they can get 200 people to commit to buy the garment, we'll handle all of the manufacturing and fulfillment. So essentially, they don't have any upfront costs, no traditional manufacturing communication issues, no needs for high minimums or long lead times, and they can end up with a product, you know, in the hands of all of the people that want it. And so it's sort of like democratizing fashion a little bit. And I loved the idea, again, because I love the idea of people taking something, you know, that they just came up with, you know, an idea that they had, and producing it and making it real. And I love being the enabler of that. So where we're at right now is that we really just sort of came up with the idea a few months ago, and I probably in like June, so it's 4 months ago, and we're still pre-launch, very much pre-launch. It's just me full-time right now. My co-founder has an existing business he's, you know, has a ton of connections into the fashion industry, so he's been schooling me on all of the ins and outs of manufacturing and textiles and print design and things like that. In the meantime, I've been building up the website and managing all of the contractors that we have helping us, and sort of figuring out what we need to do to actually launch the site. It's been hugely challenging, but thankfully his business can kind of fund us. So he's got a profitable business that's sort of funding us right now. But I do anticipate needing to raise money in the future, which, to be honest, scares the daylights out of me. You know, it's a big deal taking investment, and while it could be huge for our company, it's also like a big commitment. It's like a marriage at the end of the day. So I'm very nervous about that. But first and foremost on my list of things to do is get the site launched, and we're hoping to do that in the next month and a half. So I'm excited about that.